Hey crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and I am doing a challenge for Crafty Lori on Facebook, excuse me, YouTube, and she has requested that we make uh, any size, but she wants it to be, I forget what she calls it, but it's supposed to say, let the wishing begin, and it's for the beginning of her videos, and so I thought I would just videotape some of the process of how I created mine. So this is the very beginning. I went ahead, because I am a card maker, cut a piece of this thick chipboard here at a A2 size card. A2 card size. It's 4.25 by 5.5. I'm all confused now because I just cut the white piece that's going on top of it at just 1/4 of an inch smaller than that, so it's actually 5.25 by 4. That's this piece, and it's going to go on top. But I didn't want just this plain old cardboard sticking out. I thought a nice dark brown would be pretty. So I'm using Walnut Stain by Tim Holtz. And I'm basically just trying to do the edges, because then I'm going to have to let this dry before I tape the white or glue the white on top of it. So if I get most of the brown on there, then once I put the white on, if I want some more of the edging, I can always come back and do more. So I'm going to call that good. Let's see how the white looks on top of there. Then I haven't decided if I'm going to cut out some things or if I'm just going to hand write it. I really like that brown. That looks really pretty. Let's see if I can hold it up so you can see it in the better light. I tend to get these lines across when there's too much white, so it'll look much better. See, it's still wet, so I got that touch of brown on there. I may have to cut another panel. Actually, this side looks pretty good. I'm going to save that. I'm going to let this dry and then come back. I just recently did another project where I used this leaf stamp. It comes from this, it says So Many Smiles Occasions, but close to my heart. And then on this side of the thing it says Art Philosophy, so I'm not really sure what that's called, but I'm using this leaf right here because I just love it. And then I'm pairing it with the classic color of Old Olive by Stampin' Up, because this is absolutely one of my favorite colors ever. And because I'm going to be writing over the top of this, I don't want this to be super dark, so I'm going to do what's called second generation stamping. I'm going to put this over the top of this scratch piece of paper. And then as I stamp, I'm going to see how dark that is. Okay, so I want, that's first, that's second. See how much lighter the second one was? I want it really light like that. So I'm going to ink up, stamp off, and then stamp on the page. And I have to do that each time so that I make sure that it stays that light color. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put this leaf stamp all over this paper. And I'm not going to worry about how exact I am, but I do want this to be like all over the place. So using the same Old Olive color, I'm going to do a little bit of shading from the outside in, just to make it look really finished. And I want to use that same scrap paper, just so I don't get it all over my mat, and then I won't have to clean it. Just, to me, it makes the edges look finished, and then once I put this on with this other piece over here, it will look really nice. I use pieces of felt that I cut, and I have a piece of felt in every color of ink that I use most often. That way I don't have to have a ton of these Ranger ink tools because that can get really expensive. I've got tons and tons of inks. That looks pretty good. I'm going to try to put it on top of here without touching the brown. I think it's quite dry though. That's really pretty. Very natural looking, the browns and the greens. I'm going to attempt to do the writing with this Bic Market Ultrafine Point Marker in black. And it should say, "Let the wishing begin." So I'm going to do an outline and I'll probably speed this part up. Add another element to this so that it's not quite so one layered. So I went ahead and stamped that same leaf, and you can tell it's much darker. This is first generation stamping, and I used the same Stampin' Up color of Old Olive. I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out now. I guess semi close to the line. If there's a tiny white border, I'm okay with that. And I'll probably speed this part up at 2 as well, so you don't have to watch me cut. Okay, now with the leaves, I'm going to go back to that Old Olive, and I'm going to do the same thing to the leaves that I did to this panel, and that's just give them a little bit of a darker border. That's another one of the reasons why I didn't mind if there was a little white on the edge when I cut it. Look at the difference between one that's been colored and one that's not. I like the way that looks. It really finishes it off. Now I might make another project at some point in time where I really wanted more of that white to show because I needed that to offset or balance what I was making. But in this case, I really wanted the dark green edges, and it looks really cool. I most likely won't use all of these, but I always like to have a bunch on hand so that I don't have to go back and make more. And then I have a box of little goodies of things like this that I shove in to this little box that I have on purpose so that when I'm putting other things together, cards and such, mostly cards because that's what I really love to do, I can just pull them out and use them. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take those and try to decide exactly where I want them placed. The reason why I didn't originally glue this down before I did the lettering was because if I made a mistake on the lettering, I would just go ahead and cut another piece of this cardstock and redo the whole thing again, since the steps didn't take really that long. So since I'm happy with the writing, I'm going to go ahead and commit to this and put it down. Maybe some of you guys are thinking the same thing I am, that wow, that's a lot of the same color, Jen. That's really starting to look kind of blah. We are going to put a pop of color in the end, and we'll get to that. So I do want it to look like it's coming in off of the edge. So when I get to where I'm happy with how it looks the way they're coming in, then I'll glue them down. And then of course, so that it's not all coming off, hanging off, you know, I will cut around the edges. Looks like I might actually be using all of these today. Okay, I'm going to glue those down. I'm going to create that pop of color around the outside by adding some flowers, and I'm using this Martha Stewart punch. It's got two smaller ones and one larger one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to stack them yet, but because I want to choose what colors I want and I don't want to necessarily have to dig through my paper stash, I'm going to use my Spectrum Noir markers and pick some of the colors that I think would look really pretty. Okay, I think this one would look really pretty. And I'm just going to color on some of my paper. That one's a little too bright for what I want, so I'm just going to keep looking. This one might be pretty. That's more what I'm looking for. That pink would be pretty. And maybe like a teal blue. And maybe one other color. 3 different colors would be kind of cool. Maybe a yellow or an orange yellow. I'm not sure. Let's try this one. Oh, there we go. Yeah, like a goldy yellow. That's pretty. Those 3 would be nice. Okay, so then I'm just going to go ahead and punch once in each color. So I've got a couple of each to play around with. And I did it on the bottom part so I can still get some from the top if I decide that I want more. I was thinking that maybe I could put just one here or there. And maybe mixing them up and putting some. That yellow one kind of gets lost in the background a little bit. Let's put a blue one on there. That's pretty. Yeah, that yellow doesn't pop as much, so I'm not going to put that one on there. And maybe I will. I don't want too much of the same color. And then maybe we could put a couple of these little ones around. I'm not really so much liking that. Let's try this little punch. And then I have this tiny little punch. And then if I do the yellow, oh, I've got a couple stuck in there yet. I'll take those out because I'm not using white. That's tricky. Get a couple of these. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm liking that a lot more. With the little yellow. That's pretty. Let's do that. I need a couple more yellows, so I'm going to have to cut this down so I can get that punch in there. Well, at least one more. I usually like to do odd numbers, and right now I've got 4, and that looks funny to me. It looks off balance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should probably put one more on. So let's see, which one can I actually get to? Maybe one more of the teal. Oh, it's gonna just fit. Good. Alright, I'm going to move one over on this side. That way they're a little more spaced out, and then I need one more of the yellow. Oops. This is hard to hold on to and I don't have that little backing on there. There we go. Oh, that's so cute. That's really cute. I'm going to go ahead and commit to that and glue these down. One more idea I have, I want these leaves to stand out just a little bit more. I believe I have an old olive marker. Yes, I do. It's this one right here. And I'm going to just kind of make a shadow on one side of them. That's more of the look I was going for. Now you can really see those pop.